Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Tobacco National High School, Tobacco City. It is a great privilege for me to humbly present to you Project IBLESS 8 for school year 2019 to 2020, prepared by TNHS Science 18. In 2018, the Tobacco City Division initiated the Project IBLESS, which was headed by our dynamic science supervisor, Mr. Ronaldo Reyes. The Tobacco National High School was one of the schools identified to conduct Project IBLESS, or inquiry-based lesson study in science. Lesson study is a school-based teacher-led learning process that originated in Japan. It is proven effective that other countries are doing the same for the hope of improving students' performance and develop real understanding of concepts. Lesson study is anchored on DepEd Order No. 12, Series 2015, stating that localization and contextualization of curriculum must be teacher-led. Also, it is supported by DepEd Order No. 35, Series 2016. Lesson study encouraged to organize professional learning communities wherein teachers study content and pedagogies together, plan lessons collaboratively, and conduct action research as a group. Lesson study aims to create an ideal lesson on mitosis that will suit all types of learners and enable students to understand concepts holistically. For the process, we started in planning a research lesson. Next, implementation of the research lesson. And lastly, post-lesson discussion and reflection. To polish the lesson, we go back to the first stage. It's a repeated cycle until we come up with a model lesson. All of these stages were anchored in the collaboration of the Team Science 8. The first step in planning phase is to form a team. We conducted a short survey of teachers in our team who have training in the lesson study. We decided to have Mrs. Agnes B. Barsaga and Mrs. Elizabeth B. Bongala to be our teacher implementers who served as trainers in Tobacco City Division training and lesson study. The next step was to identify the research lesson. Here we identified mitosis as the topic for the lesson. The learning competency is to compare mitosis and meiosis and their role in the cell division cycle. The basis for selecting the topic was the list mastered competency in biology and Science 8 in the previous school year 2018 to 2019 as reflected in the PL or performance level of the periodical test for the fourth quarter, which is 36%. The next step was to conduct a pretest. It was scheduled on February 27, 2020 with two classes, 8 de los Reyes and 8 de los Santos. The fourth phase is making the schedule of the conduct of lesson study. As agreed by the team, we have Mrs. Agnes B. Barsaga, our first teacher implementer, and Mrs. Elizabeth B. Bongala, our second teacher implementer. The fifth planning phase is writing lesson plan using the 7E of inquiry-based learning approach. We brainstorm in every part of the 7E from elicit down to extend in order to come up with a lesson plan that will fit the need of our chosen learners who are average in nature. After completing the lesson plan, each team member is given a copy to double-check and review if there are things which need to be revised and improved. All suggestions were taken and discussed. Finally, we were able to make the agreed lesson plan for the first implementation. The sixth phase is preparing of learning materials. We make use of the following: PowerPoint presentation, video clips, visual materials such as 2D stages of mitosis and cell cycle, worksheets for differentiated instruction where different tasks is given for each group, one stage of mitosis for one group, and most especially a simulator that served as our innovation. For the implementation phase, the teach and observe phase. The observers and team members focus their observation on the processing of thinking skills and student behavior in all parts of the lesson from elicit down to extend part. 8 de los Reyes served as a demonstration class while Mrs. Agnes B. Barsaga as the demonstration teacher. This served as our observation tool during implementation phase. We shared our observation from elicit, engage, explore, explain, up to elaborate, evaluate, and extend. There were no revisions suggested for the engage, explain, and evaluate part. All suggestions were followed to revise the lesson and come up with a lesson plan ready for the second conduct of the study. The team agreed to revise the design lesson in line with the following only: elicit, explore, elaborate, and extend. The Teach Observe Phase 2 was done on March 4, 2020 with 8 de Los Santos. Mrs. Elizabeth Bongala served as the teacher implementer. For the post-lesson reflection Phase 2, all the team members and observers were once seated together after the 1-hour demonstration lesson for second critiquing and reflection. The lesson was finished in the given time frame. All parts of the lessons were properly aligned. Students were involved in deep thinking and analysis. Students were comfortable in the working environment. The lesson was challenging, but understanding was manifested based on the result of the test, where the class got a PL of 82%. The lesson is good enough as model lesson for mitosis and is recommended to be adopted by the teachers in Science 8 classes. For our findings, mitosis is a difficult lesson and is an appropriate topic for research lesson. The use of varied learning materials such as 2D visual aid, video clips, and simulator is very helpful to understand biological structures which cannot be seen by the naked eyes, including the appearance and behavior of chromosomes and spindle fiber in each stage of mitosis. Other teaching strategies may work for the lesson. The more friendly so far is concept sketch and simulation. Higher-order thinking questions were consistently used in the lesson, developing the critical thinking skills of the students. The lesson was well developed and organized. The data shows the pretest and post-test PL. 8 de Los Reyes is the first class where the demonstration was conducted. Pretest PL is 9.10%, while post-test PL is 77.35%. 8 de Los Santos served as the second demonstration class. Pretest PL is 8.56%, while post-test PL is 82.12%. Thus, the lesson is good enough as model lesson for mitosis and is recommended to be adopted by the teachers in Science 8 classes. For our reflection, in a world where everything seems to be at the click of our fingers, learners often expect lessons that will suit their needs and style. It is in this situation that teachers are compelled to think and create ways to make the lesson more of an enjoyment than a task too difficult for them to love. Lesson study, a tedious but a fruitful undertaking, was such a wonderful experience for both the teachers and the students. It worked in the context of teachers' camaraderie and collaboration. Indeed, there is more in sharing of ideas, accepting shortcomings, and willingness to learn on the part of teachers. With the final output, a carefully planned and tested lesson, the ultimate benefit goes to our learners. The following shows our documentation during each phase: planning and preparation phase, the anaphase simulator before and after. How the anaphase simulator works. The visual materials such as interphase, prophase, metaphase, anaphase, and telophase. Teach and Observe Phase 1 with Mrs. Agnes B. Barsaga, our first teacher implementer. Documentation Teach and Observe Phase 2 with Mrs. Elizabeth Bongala, our second teacher implementer. Post-Reflection Phase 2. We collaborate to bridge difficulties by helping students be more successful and teachers be more effective. The following are our references. This is made possible through the Team Science 8, Mrs. Agnes B. Barsaga, Mrs. Elizabeth B. Bongala, Mrs. Irish B. Assis, and yours truly, Mrs. Sandal Ann O. Barameda. We would like to thank also the following teachers who help us to make this project iBless 8 a successful collaborative work. Thank you. To God be the glory.